We service literally thousands of policyholders across this country. We come across clients of companies like Prudential, MetLife, West Coast Life, Banner Life, American Amicable, Colorado Bankers Life. And as we see those people out there, one of the reasons I'm able to talk with you today at this moment is because of what's in front of you on the screen. That is a check from a life insurance company. It is a claims check. And the most significant thing about that claims check in front of you right now is that my client did not have to die in order to get that check. The person that created the technology that's new in the life insurance industry today was Dr. Marius Bernard. He and his brother Christian Bernard did the very first human-to-human heart transplant back in December of 1967. It was Dr. Bernard who sat down with the life insurance industry and helped them construct a life insurance contract that you did not have to die to use. We know about statistics. The life insurance industry tells us that the average age of death in the United States right now is 80 for a female, 74 for a male. 84% of the population died last year of heart attack, stroke, and cancer. The health industry tells us the stats on claims for a critical illness that includes those three illnesses. Last year, the average age of a critical illness claim was 43 years of age. 52% of the critical illness claims in this country were between the ages of 41 and the age of 50. In the United States last year, 15.8 million people suffered a heart attack. 70% of that population walked away, lived. Now, if you're sitting in one of those old-fashioned types of life insurance policies, for 70% of you, there was no claims check paid out. There's over 7 million Americans that have survived a stroke at this point in this country, alive, walking around. And for that 7 million people who owned life insurance that are walking up a stroke, they too were not a claim. And cancer, I can't tell you how many times I sit around and see people in the United States tell me that my cancer is in remission, that I'm beating it. There is no cure for cancer. We know that. We know that 6 out of 10 people in this country, after being diagnosed from cancer, die within 5 years. We also know that the health insurance industry is merciless on you. Over 60% of the money is not covered by traditional health insurance. Most people that get cancer become destitute and broke. Every year in this country, there's over 25 million Americans in this country walking around that have survived a heart attack, stroke, and cancer. What are your cash reserves? How many years' salary do you have tucked away for that day of crisis inside your home? How long can you go without a paycheck? How would you pay your mortgage if you've got no paycheck next week, folks? How long can you go? How do you fund your retirement if you've got no paycheck? How do you take care of those promises you made to your kids who are in college if your income stopped? How can you give more money to your children? So what do most of us do? Well, we go through asset reduction. Our debts increase. We spend our savings. We liquidate our most precious assets, from our dishes to our toys to our nice cars. And then we go to a bankruptcy judge and ask to be absolved of our debts. A lot of people go bankrupt. Why do we go bankrupt in this country? Failure to pay bills. But did you know that over 2/3 of the bankruptcies in this country are blamed on medical reasons? The average age of a medical-related bankruptcy in this country was age 44 last year. Don't blame health insurance. We would be led to believe by the powers that be in the political office the reason we're having trouble is because everybody doesn't have health care coverage. Well, that's not true. The people that went bankrupt last year, almost 80% had adequate health coverage. They went bankrupt because their paycheck stopped. How long can you go without your income stream? Can you go a month, 2 months, 6 months? This new type of life insurance, critical illness life insurance, does this. We pay the claim when you're diagnosed with the illness, not lying in the box. There's no restriction how you use the money. If you want to take the money and go to Vegas and have a great weekend, you know what? Knock yourself out. But my clients, you know what they do? They take this death benefit and they go back to the insurance company and they create a guaranteed income stream to last both the husband and the wife. We know how to protect every penny of your actual salary. If you're making $100,000 a year, we can protect $100,000 a year. If you're making $50,000 a year, we can protect every dime of that $50,000. Which means if next month you became sick, we get to bring your actual wage to you. And if you do die, which everyone does eventually, we get to reroute that income that day to your spouse. And that income goes to your spouse until the day they pass on. It's your choice. You can stay in that old-fashioned life insurance policy and it pays just a death benefit, or when critical illness comes, that's a heart attack, stroke, invasive cancer, kidney failure, end-stage renal failure, major organ transplant, ALS, blindness, central nervous system tumors, arterial aneurysms, major multi-system trauma, AIDS, severe organ disease, severe central system disease, major burns, loss of limbs, Parkinson's, MLS, Huntington's, multiple sclerosis, encephalitis. And if it didn't happen from one of those illnesses, imagine you suffer a chronic event. It didn't have one of the illnesses involved, where you couldn't do 2 of your 6 daily living functions, like bathing, continence, dressing, toiletry, transferring. Just 2 of them. We get to release your life insurance money up front. Remember that check I showed you at the beginning of our presentation tonight? This was a 47-year-old in the year 2011. He replaced his life insurance policy with ours. Why? It was $25 a month cheaper. He bought a 20-year term policy at the age of 47 for $58 a month, a death benefit of $389,000. A few months later, he was diagnosed with stomach cancer. This check was paid out while he was breathing, not dead. We released 89% of his life insurance money up front. Not only that, money was released, he gave us permission to share his story. Why? Because he worked part-time and felt the story needed to be shared. There are too many of you in the old-fashioned type of life insurance. Too many of you that are in Primerica, West Coast Life, Banner Life, companies that don't pay the benefit out unless you die. You have a choice. You can stay in that old-fashioned contract, and when you get sick, somebody will give you a get-well card. Or you can switch, get the new type of life insurance, and I can bring you a check up to $1.5 million the day you're diagnosed with illness. Do you believe in miracles? Well, I do. Out of every seven people out of 10 who reach age 65 who have survived a heart attack, stroke, and cancer, do you realize that out of everyone that's suffered a heart attack, stroke, cancer, 7 out of 10 have lived and are alive at 65? And do you know, according to the federal government and the Centers of Disease Control of the state, if you're alive at 65, you're going to go 19.3 more years? I consider that fortunate. I consider that a miracle. The modern medicine that saves lives is a miracle. And in the past, the modern medicine that saved lives was a financial disaster for you. You don't need death insurance. You need survival insurance. Now, how simple is this? What, do you own life insurance? Do you? Is it the old kind? Do you have to die to use it? Well, I'm sorry. Get rid of it. It's old-fashioned. It's antiquated. You need to upgrade to the new kind of life insurance that you don't have to die. And by the way, folks, listen, these benefits that we added, when they first came to the United States, companies were charging through the arm. It was like video cassette recorders and computers. Today, we do this at no charge. If you're a client with the new type of life insurance, we don't charge for this fringe benefit. It's a freebie. Take some time, do the comparison, and let's take a look and see what we can do for you. Get back with the person who invited you to see me here tonight. Get your old policies to them. Do the comparison. What you're going to find out is the price is basically the same. The difference, nightmare to prosperity. Thank you, and have a good night.